Hey y'all. So I've got a word today and it's a good word. And I really hope that I can put this out in the way that the Lord just gave this to me because it's good. Of course, as with every word, take it back to God though, because this is not for everybody right now. But I will mention several weeks ago, maybe a month ago, I had a dream that I forgot to mention, and it was about it was me and a bunch of people, right? And we were on our way walking into class, like school. It was about to start, okay? And so essentially right now, there's a group of spouses that are in the classroom, okay? I had mentioned it in a video a few days ago about even God had given me like something about thank the teacher. Yeah, say thanks to the teacher. They deserve it. And there was scripture that went along with it. The Feast of Weeks, Deuteronomy 16:15. And yeah, the teacher is teaching. He's got these spouses in class right now. Not all of them though. Like everybody's in different seasons. That's why I say this is not for everybody. But it actually has taken me back to some notes that I had from last year in the summertime in June, I believe. Okay, so both of my kids peed the bed within the same week this week, okay? I don't know why, but they did, okay? They both peed the bed. And of course, I had to change the sheets, wash the sheets, all of that, right? The blankets, everything. Okay. And then at the same time, my daughter came home and said there was a boy at school, she's in kindergarten, okay, that had pooped his pants. And I'm like, this is all like hitting me. I'm like, okay, peeing the bed, pooping your pants, like there's something going on here, right? Now, to make note, the boy who messed his pants at school. Okay, so I'm going to try to break this down. So peeing in the bed, right? This happened in the middle of the night, right? And this night I was already, and typically I sleep good. I don't really have trouble falling asleep most of the time. I fall asleep pretty good and I sleep throughout the night. But this particular night, before my daughter peed in the bed, she sleeps with me, by the way. So she peed in our bed. But before that happened, I was already struggling to fall asleep. I was having like restless legs. I was just really struggling to fall asleep. I couldn't get comfortable. And I started to get really frustrated because, I have to get up early in the morning to take them to school. And if I don't get enough sleep, if I get up early with not enough sleep, I'm dizzy, I'm staggering around, so it's very important for me to at least get like 6 hours, okay? At this point, I was struggling, I was getting frustrated. So then she ends up peeing the bed right after that in the middle of the night, right when I finally am able to doze off. So peeing the bed, okay, can represent feeling shame, embarrassment, vulnerability. It can also represent, which it's more so, I feel like this is what it's leaning towards, a lack of control, being overwhelmed, okay? A lack of control and being overwhelmed. Also, it represents a release, okay? An uncontrollable release. You can't control, it's not control. When you pee the bed in the middle of the night, it's an uncontrollable release, okay? And so then she pees the bed, and then I'm like even more frustrated at that point because I'm like, man, I just finally dozed off, and now I got to deal with making sure we could, get the sheets, all that, right? I'm like, dang, man. So I was even more frustrated because I just finally dozed off to rest. I was just about to finally get some rest, okay, after being so restless. Now the pooping at school, basically what God was showing me with this, he is teaching them right now how to let go of old waste, right? He is teaching them to let go in this classroom right now. He is teaching them how to let go of old waste, old thought patterns, old mindsets, old perspectives, all the old former things, okay? But in this, right, they may be feeling some embarrassment and shame, okay? But God's working on it. Because everything is pretty much exposed at the moment, which is causing them to feel shame and embarrassment, right? Because there's humility that comes with this. And so, when you're exposed, like Adam and Eve in the garden, right? Once they sinned and they felt ashamed, they felt, they realized they were naked and they felt ashamed. They felt shame. And so they're kind of feeling, now that they're naked, right? And exposed, they're feeling naked and ashamed. But God's working on it. And so then my daughter the next day had come home from school with a cut out heart. She's like, Mom, look, I cut out a heart. I cut out a heart. She kept saying that. And I looked at it and it was white, but it had some like black specks in it. Okay. She cut out this heart at school, okay? It was white with black on it. Most of the heart was white, okay? Most of the heart was white, which most of the heart was pure, but there was some dark spots on it. There was some darkness. There was some impurities on this heart, okay, that was cut out at school, that was exposed at school. So, something else in this classroom right now. There is a heart reflection. There's a heart exposure that's happening, okay? There's a heart exposure that's happening. This is, the Lord is teaching them the areas that are still impure in their heart or may have been impure, right? He's exposing those things that are impure or that were impure, okay? On their heart, in their heart, right? And it's causing some shame. It's causing some embarrassment. It's causing them to be restless and uncomfortable. It's placing them in an uncomfortable, they feel uncomfortable with this, right? Because before they could protect their heart in their own way, right? They could block things. They could, there was this protection. They protected themselves. They put up this wall, right? This wall of protection in whatever way that looked like for each person, right? But now that protection has been removed, just like the sheets in the bed, when my daughter, when both kids peed, right, the bed, there's a removal of sheets, a removal of mattress protector, a removal of blankets. Those things represent they represent rest and comfort and protection and security. Now that those things have been removed to be cleansed, right? I had to throw them in the washing machine and sanitize them and stuff, right? Now that protection, that covering, that sense of security, that wall of protection has been removed by God, right? There is an exposure now. And it's like, oh God, like, can you imagine? Like, I could just imagine like having this place of security, right? Of protecting my heart in a certain way all this time, right? I've been protecting my heart from certain things and all of this, right? And then the Lord just removes that sense of security, that protection, right? And exposes it. And that's not a good feeling, right? That can feel really uncomfortable. And so that's kind of what's happening, right? There was this uncontrollable release. They couldn't control it. The Lord did this, okay? The Lord released this, right? Is releasing these things from them, and it's exposing things, it's making them uncomfortable, but they're not going to be able to rest and be comfortable and secure in all of the things until this is cleansed, right? And there is a new protection that is placed on them, this new rest that the Lord is giving them, not their own false sense of security, their own false sense of protection and all of that they once did, and their own strength and their own understanding, right? God's removing that, and he is now putting, he's cleansing it, and he's placing his his protection, right? His security over their heart. Okay. I hope this is making sense. Whatever was protecting their heart before, which was in their own strength, right, has been released. It has been removed, and there's a cleansing happening. Okay, and it's leaving them. Here's the thing. God said it's causing them to be uncomfortable, right, and restless, just like how I was. Okay. Well, actually, that was before the peeing in the bed happened. Okay. So before, they were feeling restless, right? They were feeling uncomfortable. And then this cleansing happens, right? Just when they thought they were about to get some, so he had me right. Just when they think they're about to get rest, right? Because I had just thought, like, okay, I'm finally dozing off. I'm about to get some rest. Something else hits. Something else is exposed, okay? And basically, until this exposure is done, until this is cleansed and all of the things, all these things, he's done teaching them this new way of thinking, this new mindsets, this new perspectives. Until that happens, right, it's going to be this, uncomfortable place that they're in. And it might be frustrating them, right? It might be leaving them feeling tired and overwhelmed. And so it took me back to some notes, though, that I had. And last year in June, I believe, I was on the way home from the beach. And I had seen a car that had referenced my spouse in some way. And it was on the side of the road, right? And I saw a man standing outside of this car. And he was basically, it seemed like he was calling for help and assistance. I wrote AAA, right? The car was gray and the hood was bent. The hood was bent, okay? So the hood of the car protects the engine, all right? The engine is the heart of the car. It helps give the car power. It's what moves the car. And I had written feeling crashed, feeling wrecked, because that's what the car looked like. So basically, this person's calling on to God for help, right? Their protection of their heart has been bent. That protection has been damaged. It's being removed, okay? So that a new protection can be placed on there, right? God's protection. So they're calling on God, though, because, and that's kind of strategic on God's part, right? They're no longer leaning on themselves. They're no longer leaning on their own strength. They're no longer leaning on their own understanding. They're calling on God for their help, okay? And so a car can't move and drive properly with a bent hood, with a damaged hood, okay? And so they have been feeling crashed. They've been feeling wrecked, slammed, right? Tired, exhausted, overworking themselves to death. It's damaging their ability to move, right? They are burning, essentially, they've been burning themselves out. But now they are calling on God, right? And God allows us to do that. God allows us to sit and fester in certain things. He'll allow us to try to do everything in our own strength while he just sits up there and watches. He sits back and he just watches and he lets us do our thing, right? Because sometimes, especially with stubborn, hard-headed individuals, you have to burn yourself out. You got to try to do everything, and then you got to come to a place of realizing, okay, this isn't working. This isn't going to work. I can't do this on my own strength. And then there is nobody left but God on speed dial to call for help, right? And so that's essentially what they are doing in this time. And, they've tried to do these things in their own way and their own strength, their own understanding for so long. But now they're realizing that it gets them nowhere, and they need They need God's strength. They need God's help. They need God. They need God. He is the teacher. He's everything, right? Um, and so I hope this makes sense. Also, I had gotten the number 8059 this morning, which means release and remission. It is actually about I don't even know how to pronounce this. Sabbatical year. Basically a suspension of labor. Okay. Now it says that that's not coming until like 2028, 2029 or something. Again, it's every 7 years. But basically, God is using that in this case. During this year, this specific year, the land was to lie fallow. Debts were to be forgiven, and agricultural activity was to cease. No more labor, right? It said allowing the land to rest and rejuvenate. And so essentially, that's what God is trying to do right now. He is trying to teach them how to rest in Him. He is taking the burden off of them, right? Where they no longer have to fight in their own strength. They no longer have to lean on their own understanding, right? God is taking that off of them, lifting that off of them. And He is trying to bring them into a place of rest, but it's all teaching, right? They're in a classroom and God is having to teach them this. See, they have not experienced God in this way before. And so they have to learn Him. They're in a place of learning Him right now. I think I put that in a word like the other day. They are now in a place of learning them, and God is allowing them to stumble and fall in this time, just like a toddler. They have to sometimes experience natural consequences, right, in order to learn. And that's how God teaches. He allows us to make mistakes. He allows us to stumble and fall, but He's always there to pick us up and teach us that lesson, educate us, and He's a great teacher. And so, it says this practice is rooted in God's covenantal relationship between God and Israel, emphasizing trust in God's provision and the importance of rest and renewal. These people may not have really, truly ever rested, right? They have just fought and fought and fought. And you know what? Now it makes sense. The other day I seen a rat run across the parking lot at Publix when I was getting groceries, and I heard tired of running the rat race. And I was like, the rat race? And it's basically like people who have to toil and labor, people toiling and laboring for, to be on top, right? And now that makes sense. They're tired of running the rat race, right? They're tired of this. They're feeling like they have to labor and labor and labor and really get nowhere. But, they are learning now. The whole point of this is God is essentially cleansing this stuff, exposing some things in their heart, shifting their heart, shifting their perspective, their mindset. All the old former things are going away, right? He's cleansing that. And He's bringing them into a place of rest and renewal, teaching them how to rest in Him, teaching them how to trust in Him to be their provision, right? Teaching them that they don't have to lean on their own strength anymore, their own understanding anymore. Like, God is that provider. God is everything that they need. And, they are now being sat down in class and learning and growing in God and His ways and all of that, and putting away all the old former things. But they have been feeling frustrated. They have been feeling overwhelmed. They have been feeling tired, okay? And so, again, God is lifting all of that off of them and washing those sheets, cleansing those sheets, right, in the blankets, and providing them with this new hood for their car, this new cover, this new protection, this new security, this new rest that they've never experienced before, right? And, when you wash your sheets and your blankets and your bedding and you put on fresh new bedding, it is the best sleep, the best rest, the best comfort, the best all of it, right? And that's what the Lord is about to provide them with, trying to provide them with, right? But they kind of just got to learn Him. They've got to learn Him. They've got to they've got to learn him, and so that's where they're at. So again, take this back to God though, because it's not for everybody right now. If y'all feel led to sow or be a blessing, my information will be there in the description box. I pray this makes sense. I pray it reaches the people that it needs to reach. I pray y'all have a blessed rest of your day, and I will see y'all in my next video. Okay, bye.